Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFirio. I'm your host for the show, and I'm always happy to see you here. If you are interested in any kind of coaching or consultation, you might have thought about this as you opened a shop and been running it for a little bit. You want an outside perspective. You want some help to bring things to the next level, or you're looking to start your first cafe, but you need a little bit of guidance or maybe a lot. This is the kind of thing that I do. It is my full-time thing. On the top of this podcast, Keys to the Shop Consulting, I get to work with people from all over the world in coaching them to run great coffee shops. And so maybe that's something that's been on your mind. Reach out, chris@keystotheshop.com. And then finally, coffee shop owners, you don't have to go it alone. You can join a community of people that get it, not just a small business community that's general business information, but coffee shop owners and operators who are there focused on one another's success in the keyholder coaching groups. We are opening up applications for the spring 2026 cohort of keyholder coaching groups. So please go ahead and sign up. You can find the link in the show notes. I know a lot of people have gained incredible value from being members, and now we're in our fifth cohort, and it just keeps getting better. So I hope to talk to you. Now, let's talk about our sponsors today. I'm so thankful for them. First, we're going to talk about coffeebusinessconnection.com. This platform has started as a live webinar hosted by Sarah Naylor of Daybreak Coffee Cart. She's been a guest on the show before, and I've been a presenter on this webinar twice now, and it's growing in scale and value and scope. It's great. It's not just a webinar, though. It's a platform for learning online and tapping into the resources of experienced coffee shop owners all over the world. So I would encourage you to go to the website coffeebusinessconnection.com as they continue to build online learning resources and events that will help plug you into the right information to run a great coffee business at coffeebusinessconnection.com. Now, also, we are sponsored by our friends at Pacific Barista Series. They have been making plant-based beverages since the beginning. They're the originals, and they are still the one that is preferred the world over because their products, their plant-based performance beverages, are made for baristas. They are tested by baristas. They stand up to the heat from steaming, produce great texture. The balance of the flavor is focused on coffee, and that makes it a fantastic addition to your menu. When you have plant-based consumers that want a specialty experience, look to pacificfoodservice.com and get those samples. Try it for yourself, and just make sure that you're giving this a try. I think if your customers want the best, the Barista Series from Pacific is the one to serve. Now, let's jump right into the idea that we're about to talk to two very, very sweet and passionate coffee people that I've had the pleasure of seeing as a latte art judge. They're, past competitors in the latte art scene at Coffee Fest, and they have been owners for a while now of a coffee shop called Lontra Coffee in Los Angeles, California. And now they're getting ready to open a second location. I thought this is the time to bring them on and talk about their journey into coffee, from the world of being a barista and pursuing that culture and that community and being immersed in that, to taking on a business and expanding that, the entrepreneur's journey. And I got to tell you, it's really a great conversation. We're talking with Patti and Jesse Ventura. They are the owners of, like I said, Lontra Coffee. And it was just their shared passion for specialty coffee that turned into them building their own company. So we're going to get to learn a lot from Patti and Jesse today as they talk about what they've learned in their going from barista to owners to operators of now what's going to be two cafes. Let's get right to it. Here now is my conversation with our friends Patti and Jesse Ventura of Lontra Coffee. All right. Well, Patti and Jesse, welcome to Keys to the Shop. How are you?
Good, good. Good morning, Chris.
Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm used to seeing you all around the Coffee Fest scene, and now we're in the seat of entrepreneurship and business ownership and expansion, So
Yeah.
loving the, idea of just getting your story and going first to the story of your coffee journey, your coffee career. You all started, as we all do, I imagine, as baristas, getting
Yeah.
into coffee. Was it getting into it intentionally as like, I want to do this? Or was it just, this is the job, but then it was fascinating and you just started a career?
For me, I mean, coffee's always been a sidekick 100% in the college and academics. I think I've always known I wanted to pursue coffee. Going to Italy, I think I found myself in a coffee shop every single day, talking to the bar, talking to the regulars, and feeling a sense of like connection. And I felt like I wanted to create that environment and have that cheers moment where everybody knows your name. And
Yes.
how about you?
Yeah. I always say that I kind of got into coffee on accident. It was not an intentional, not that, I mean, it was a great journey, but I was studying music. I was on a completely different path of life. I was an opera singer, and I thought that's where my life was headed. Yeah, surprise. And it feels like a lifetime ago, but I thought that's what I wanted to do. And I was kind of in a season of transition, and I ended up taking a job. I actually didn't start as a barista. I started at a roastery, kind of on the behind the scenes. I was in a season of transition, and I was looking for something different. I found myself working for a coffee roastery, and it very quickly turned from a job with the change of scenery into, wow, I'm really passionate about coffee. And when I started that job, I only knew that I loved to drink coffee, but I mean, as we all experience, I'm sure when you start learning about coffee, you realize there's so many layers and so many things. And it's interesting because my background was in the arts and creativity, being a singer and a musician. And you don't know that coffee is so close to that until you're really in it. And I do remember feeling like, wow, like I feel so fulfilled at my job for the first time ever. And I mean, so it was an accident, but like a super happy accident. Like I could not be more grateful.
That's awesome. So opera singer. Wow.
Yeah.
And Jesse, you just took a trip to Italy just cause?
Yeah, I mean, the initial trip came after a college degree, and I rewarded myself with a trip, to travel, and quickly noticed that coffee was always by my side.
But you were also studying something totally different. I
Yeah.
mean, he was psychology, architecture, totally different world than coffee.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Well, of course, I feel like we could draw a line between a lot of different careers and what coffee offers you the opportunity to do. I'm sure that psychology and architecture, there's a direct line to what you're building and the people you're serving, and then the art of coffee, Patty, with setting the stage and performing with latte art and everything. Yeah, it's so cool how this all kind of comes together. So once you started down this path of loving coffee and making it a little bit more of an intentional pursuit, you saw a lot of different expressions of coffee, and in the background, you were just working for these companies, seeing how companies were run. At what point did you say, well, this is something that we could do? We could do this.
I think the really interesting thing, and it's crazy to think that, but originally this wasn't my dream. Not saying I didn't think it was a great idea, but it wasn't my dream that formed with me. It was actually Jesse's dream. And, as I got to know Jesse at the beginning stages of our relationship, he would share with me about being in Italy and how every morning he was in a cafe and getting to know the owners and the regulars. And he was so passionate about wanting to create something like that, to give that experience to someone else, that even though it wasn't I was raised very risk adverse, I will say that. So the idea of running my own business was very scary because it's a risk every single minute of every day. Yeah. But over time, the more I was with Jesse and learned and got to experience that, it just organically became my dream too, to the point where I was daydreaming about having our own shop and saying things like, one day if we have our own shop, or it would be so cool if we did this. And then I just couldn't even remember that it wasn't my dream to begin with. Yeah. I stole your dream.
Nice.
I mean, I felt like I knew I wanted to pursue this the second I got behind bar. I loved it so much, and I love serving someone that cup and watching that genuine reaction of the first sip, seeing someone come to life with that first moment. And I also really love that coffee is always changing. It's always presenting new ways to challenge yourself and better yourself.
Yeah, it is very dynamic for sure. And I love the idea that you kind of evolved into this, and it kind of took on that dream, and now together you're making it a reality. In the first steps of your journey to start your coffee shop, it's difficult to make decisions when you have these lofty ambitions. You want to supply these revelation moments for people about coffee, or the community and the art and everything. But then there's the practical steps that go along with it, and making decisions where you can't do everything. You just have a limited amount of space. So what kind of decisions did you end up having to make in the beginning to choose what Lontra was going to be? And what does the name mean, by the way?
Well, okay. The name, so it's actually the Italian word for otter. So it's technically Lontra, but Lontra, it's morphed into. And Jesse and I, our pet name for each other is Otter. We love otters. And it stemmed from actually that coffee job that we had, that job that we met at. We worked really closely together. We became really good friends. We were always together. And I think we were having lunch with a bunch of our coworkers, and someone was like, "Did you know that when otters sleep, they hold hands so they don't drift apart?" And I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, "Oh, it's like Patti and Jesse because they're always together. They're always interlocked." And that's, yeah. And now we call each other Otter, and all of our family and friends know us as the Otters. I mean, we just got married, and every one of our signs said the Otters. It didn't say Patti and Jesse. And our friend Gio, I think you know Gio, he married us, and he, I think, announced us as the Otters at our wedding ceremony. Great. So yeah, Lontra is a way of not only tying in the Italian heritage that Jesse's so proud of, but also our experiences in Italy and his experiences in Italy, and also bringing in the otter without. And being a little more subtle. And we like that you kind of have to ask about it to know the full story. You see the logo and it's an otter, and if you walk into our shop, a lot of things have otters on them, but you don't really know until you talk, and we love that because we get to connect with people about that. And I love it.
That's such a cool story. Wow. I love it. I can just imagine a little otter on their back drinking a little coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the cafe, now that it's, you kind of are this coffee power couple and starting this coffee shop, what about the decisions to say, well, what is it going to be? What, coffee wise and space wise? Talk to us a little bit about those practical decisions.
We sort of have a unique situation where our space was a little bit more turnkey. Which was actually really, really great for us starting out because it did make things a lot easier. But that sort of means you develop your identity around kind of what's already there, which has its own set of challenges because you want to create your own identity, but you're also limited to a little bit of kind of what's already there in terms of space and design. So we definitely took a lot of that into consideration, but we really sat down and talked about all of our experiences, not just working behind bar or for different companies, but also our experiences of visiting coffee shops and having coffee in different places and figuring out how do we bring those experiences here. We are super fortunate that we worked like serving this neighborhood already before we opened our own space there. So a lot of our customers we already knew. And we had the really unique insight that we kind of knew what a lot of them were looking for and what they wanted and what kind of worked. And so that actually heavily affected how we were going to open and what we were going to do. I think we've both said if you had asked us if this is what we thought Lontra would look like, 5 years ago, we probably would have said no, because in your head, when you think about opening a shop, you think of a bare bones space where you're picking every single thing and starting from the very beginning. And that's not really the experience we had, but it's been really great because it's also allowed the people that we love to serve kind of help influence our identity instead of being like, this is our identity and we're giving it to you. It was kind of this like joint effort between us and the people that we love to serve. And it was this really cool creation of like, we're all going to create Lontra together. And I feel like that's pretty unique. And I love that part of our story.
You mentioned the idea of starting from a place that already had some constraints. So it was already a coffee shop before that you took over?
Yeah, it was a coffee shop before. We actually worked in the space as employees for a different company. And then that company left, and then we were so wonderfully presented with the opportunity to open our own space there. A lot of it's in a financial district, so a lot of our clientele are coming to work every day. And we actually served all of these people for years, and we have connected with them so much. And when the shop that we were previously working for closed, we actually had an influx of people finding our personal Instagrams, reaching out to the building, like, where are Patti and Jesse? Are they coming back? What happened? Where are they? And people finding us, finding our emails and our Instagrams, like, we miss you, what's going on? And so that was really moving. And then we were presented with this opportunity, like, do you want to open your own space? And that came from us talking with people and letting them know that was a dream of ours, and we didn't even know we were on the radar for that. And so it just became this super crazy opportunity that we just are so thankful for.
Now, the idea that people are asking for you, I think, if we pause for a second and think about the idea that your service as baristas in the space helped to define what it was, such that when they closed, they're looking for you, they're looking for the otters, they're looking for where'd they go, because it's a part of their day. It's a huge testimony to the idea that even if you weren't trying to, have that happen, it happens naturally when you're sincere in your service, and being there every day, serving people makes a huge impact. So now that you take on this space and you continue to serve in the same space, but make it your own, I imagine those people are pretty happy that to see it continue and to see you continue. What kind of changes did you make to the space and to the service, while also kind of balancing serving the customers in a similar way that you used to have?
I think we wanted, starting this, to emphasize on quality on every aspect. I mean, from the high quality specialty coffee to the house-made syrups, keeping the hospitality and the presentation is huge, because I believe that the people do notice all of these things. And the effort and the passion is like what affects their experience at our cafe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a big change that we made, obviously, is we have our own menu. And that was a really cool experience because we're big foodies. And if there's one thing that we love as much as we love coffee, it's food and flavors and experimenting and being in the kitchen. And that is the same for coffee. So we, had spent our whole relationship creating this unintentional menu of things that we would serve when we were hosting or having our family try, or sitting at midnight being like, let's have coffee and let's come up with a new like flavor or syrup, and how can we pair this with this coffee, or oh, we bought this bag of coffee and let's see what we can do with it. And now we were in this opportunity to bring that to other people, and that's been, for me especially, has been so rewarding. I absolutely love getting to create and to experiment and to try new things and to push boundaries, and not push boundaries in some crazy scientific way, but just with flavors and with ideas and pulling on experiences of a meal I had or a dessert, and like getting to incorporate that into coffee. That was a big thing. In terms of the service, though, the weird thing is we didn't change a lot in terms of the hospitality, because we've always believed that if we're going to work somewhere or work for someone, we want to work in the same way that we would work if it's for ourselves. So we didn't change a ton in how we were interacting with customers, other than being even more grateful that we were there. And yeah, they were so happy. It was an overwhelming amount of love and support, and people showing up for us and being excited about our story and this opportunity that we were given. And it just made every day feel so much like so meaningful and so impactful. And it still does. We still have people telling us every day, I would hate coming to work if it weren't for this. I have people coming in like, I just had the worst meeting ever. I'm going to sit here for 45 minutes. Is that okay? And we're like, yes, tell us everything, And that is so rewarding. And having customers that became friends, that came to our wedding, that, ask about my mom and our dogs and our family is so cool, especially because so many of our customers are regulars, like 60%. I see every day. I mean, that's a lot, and it's so cool,
Yeah, I mean, you have just kind of described this mutual support where you're talking about being excited, thankful, energized to serve coffee, to serve people, to listen to them as they talk about their day. And then on the other end, they're doing the same thing for you and supporting you with the same kind of energy. So it's this virtuous cycle that I see happening here, which is really awesome. And you're now, of course, owners, which is a slightly different feel than being the staff members. What's the shift? What's the biggest shift for you in terms of mentality, pressure, hurdles that you have to jump over? Talk to us about that.
It's not a slight shift. It is a big shift for sure. It's more like when you are in a cafe doing your tasks and you're in a company, you get the tasks down and you're kind of repetitive, you know what's going on, and there is a sense of security. But I think as a coffee owner, it's like having a newborn baby all the time. Like every minor thing is like, could be a big thing, or you're like always trying to have those training wheels on a sense of everything,
Yeah. That is one of the things that was the most shocking, was how heavy the responsibility feels once you start operating. And that's a positive and a negative. It's a great, we both thrive in roles of responsibility, and that's kind of how we live our life. And so in that aspect, it's great. I thrive having a responsibility, because when the responsibility is mine, it means a lot more. But in the same way, it's a lot. And you realize that this isn't just a project anymore or a dream. This is your livelihood, your company's success, someone else's, your staff's livelihood, your staff's happiness, your customers are your customers. And it's important if they keep coming back, and it's important if they have a good experience. And one thing I noticed, I took everything so much more personally. It's so much harder to let things roll off your back because you're like, I want everyone to be happy and I want everyone to have the best experience. And as we all know, being in hospitality, that's not, you just can't make everyone happy, even though we try and we will continue to try. But it just, anything that someone says weighs so much more. And that shift from barista to owner or employee to owner, it's very big and it's very noticeable. I think we took it on very well because it had been a dream, but that takes me right back to being very risk adverse. So it is scary when you think about, like, if my shop doesn't do well, not only is my livelihood affected, but someone else's, our staff, and you don't ever want to be in that position. So it just pushes you to work even harder, and it's exciting, but it's also scary. So, yeah.
I imagine it's a very it can be a steep learning curve emotionally to be able to sustain yourself while also sustaining a business. But it seems like you've grown in this, even though I'm sure you're still, experiencing some of that. How did you evolve to sort of have this tension be, it's kind of constant, but you can live with it and maybe even thrive in it?
I think for me, a lot of it came from Jesse. I am very lead with emotion. I am very emotional in how I react and how I process information. And Jesse has always been kind of that grounding headspace for me. So there were a lot of hard conversations that we had at the beginning, lots of tears from me about feeling overwhelmed or worried about, the tension or the feedback, or, worried about not being successful. And so much of Jesse's beautiful ability to be able to take risks and to embrace them, he has helped me in that way. And it's been a lot of self growth and a lot of internal monologues and a lot of internal dialogues to tell myself that I'm not just learning how to run a coffee shop, I'm learning how to be an owner. And it's okay that I haven't figured it all out, even now or in 5 years or in 10 years. It's okay that I don't know it all, and that to give myself a little bit of grace. So I very heavily relied on Jesse and just brain dumping all the things I was feeling, and then he would kind of help me put them back together in like more manageable ways. And obviously you do it for so long that it starts to become second nature, and you start to realize that the risk of business and the realities of owning a shop, they become like normal life. They become like waking up in the morning and making yourself a coffee, and it just becomes normal, and it does become more manageable, at least for me.
I mean, like she mentioned, I am a very big risk taker, but I think she also grounds me in the same, because I'm a bit pull leash and I'm confident in what I believe in, and she is also my voice of reason when I'm ready to race, and she's like, hold on, let's think about this. And I don't think I could do what we do now without her. I think it does take a strong team in order to be able to feel confident in yourself.
Yeah, great point. Now, when it comes to team, did you just have the same coworkers become baristas, or did you have to hire new people when you took over?
No, we started from complete scratch. And the other thing is, we were very lucky to have the insight that we kind of knew the general volume of the space that we were taking over, which is not common. And or at least I don't think it's common. And I felt very lucky that we had that. So we kind of knew what we needed. And when we started, we only needed one team member. And we were as you said before, we got our entrance into the coffee community through latte art. And in that, we've made so many friends and have so many colleagues and people to talk to and bounce ideas off of, that it only made the most sense that that's where we were going to start when it came to bringing someone on. And we ended up bringing just a friend, a colleague who had been in the coffee industry for also a very long time on with us. And it kind of worked because we were like, we don't know how things are going to go because we're new, but we know we need someone. And he was like, I am on my journey on my own, searching for my own ventures. And so I can't commit to something super, super long term. So if that's okay with you, I would love to be a part of that team to help you open and then see what the needs are and then kind of revisit after you've been open for a while. And it kind of worked out really well. So we had it was just 3 of us for 8 months, 7 or 8 months, and it was great. And we brought someone on that was passionate about coffee, that wanted to do it as a career, that had been doing it as a career, that was great with people, and so definitely became a part of the team. And then even once that team member went off on his own adventures, which we're so happy for him, we brought on just one person, Rosa, as you probably know her. It's Simply Coffee, one of our really good friends, super respected in the coffee world, super passionate, wants to make coffee is making coffee a career. And it just kind of lined up that at the time that our first employee was ready to, spread his wings and fly, she was like, I would highly consider, coming on your team. And it's been so, overwhelmingly amazing because she's so passionate and so motivated, and she cares not only about us as people and as friends, but she cares about Lontra and about its growth. And she talks about the growth of Lontra and what's in store for us in the future all the time. And we know how rare it is to find people like that. And we're so lucky. So we have her, we have the 2 of us, and we have one other part-time employee who is also just as motivated and passionate, and really cool because that person moved to LA and said, wow, when I came to LA, I realized that having coffee be your career is a possibility. And now I feel like I can actually do that. And we were like, you're hired. So now we have another part-time employee who is also just amazing. So we have really been so lucky in the hiring space, which I know is not the reality for everyone. And so we're thankful every day for just the team that we have and the support that we have, because Lontra would not be the same without them.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's really cool to hear the cohesion of the team, and then also having a smaller team where you can have that kind of dynamic between you. But now you're opening a second location. And so now the plot thickens and we have more people to bring into the fold. And you can't, tell us, the plan for the second location. What does it look like to divide your time between build out and planning while also caring for this wonderful culture and business that is Lontra, downtown LA, then the second location? Because sometimes people, it stretches you too thin. How have you been navigating this?
Well, it definitely does feel like juggling.
When you don't know how to juggle.
I think the position that we are is very lucky. I think that we both love teaching as well. It's one of our passions that we love to teach the craft that we do and find people with passion in our craft, and we're so fortunate to know everyone in the community that loves coffee. So people giving people this opportunity is really a blessing.
Yeah. I think like it is a little scary, I'm not going to lie, because this is a completely, like you said, it's new, and it's a new shop, and so now we have to start thinking about the reality of hiring more people and bringing more people on the team, and we may not have the same experiences that we've had, and there may be challenges to face in that realm. And I think the biggest thing is being super intentional about who you hire and what you talk about, and how you really think about how this person will play a part in Lontra's story. Because I think the last thing we'll ever do is think about an employee as just an employee. It's more like part of the foundation of Lontra. And I feel like I will still feel that way even like 5 or 10 years from now. Like, I still feel like any person that joins the team is like a part of the foundation. So I think it's also like conveying that and making sure that we are intentional in that space. And it is a completely new avenue for us that we are going to tackle head on, as this whole build out or whole second location has been. We are very busy. Stretched thin is definitely a very accurate representation, but in a really good way. I personally thrive being busy. I've been told that my calendar is terrifying. And when I look at it, I'm just like, yes. So I'm definitely a fill every second of every day kind of person, and having to balance an operating shop that's open and operating and opening a new shop is definitely that fitting in the time and making sure that you are committing your time as equally as possible. And I think, which I don't know because we don't have human children, we just have the fur variety, but I think that it's kind of like, it might be like having a second child, where you still need to make sure you're present for your first child, but you also, have to put a lot of energy. And so as a parent, I'm assuming you just learn how to do that, and you just learn how to become available in 2 different spaces. And I think we're slowly figuring that out. We're definitely in, I think, one of the busiest parts of it, because we are like in the middle of build out, and I'm getting 900 phone calls a day. But I think that we tell ourselves like there is a somewhat of a milestone, a finish line. It's not going to be like this forever. That doesn't mean that once we open, okay, great, that's easy and we're done and we can just walk away from it. But at least there are milestones ahead, so that makes losing sleep or working extra hours or coming home and picking up the laptop again to start working, I think it makes all of that worth it. But I do think that me being so planner and organized and type A in that way has helped us, because I'm really good at like the Tetris part of figuring out where to put things and how to manage our time. And so in that way, I feel like it's been manageable, but it has definitely been a lot. It's been a lot.
That's great. Yeah. You talk about Tetris, and I had this vision of just, I wonder how much latte art practice has actually helped you visualize like where things go and go with the flow and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You do have an advantage though, in some sense, when somebody comes to the industry and they just don't have that, they retired from a job or they have a completely different career, and then they start a coffee shop right away. That what you're calling a milestone, and we know, that's a milestone, we'll get past it. That's terrifying for people because that's the only thing that matters. There's no experience of life past that. I mean, you worked at coffee shops before, you worked at a coffee shop that you then took over, and now you're in this phase that you've seen replay again and again. So there's life after opening.
Yeah.
What are you doing different with this space? So because you had this space now that was a place before, this one now, maybe there's some more creativity. You can do a few more things that you weren't able to do with the first space. Talk about that.
I think creativity is definitely important, and also adaptability, listening to your clientele, and also being able to express ourselves is a big like part of who we are. We're always trying to change with the coffee, trying to develop new menu items so that way like we rotate menus in and create something new, something exciting, and keeping the spark alive.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the space is, so for a little backstory, our shop is in LA, but we don't live in LA. We actually live very, very, very far from LA. We live about 45 miles from LA, and our commute is terrible. And it's,
Wow.
as Jesse likes to say, he says often, that is the only part of any of this that feels like a job, is driving to work. The rest of it is fulfilling and wonderful and amazing. The only part that feels like hard work is driving. So yeah, it takes us about an hour in the morning because we go so early, and about 2 hours to get home. So it is quite the commute. But this second location is actually about 10 minutes away from where we live. And it is very special to us because it is the city just right over next to where we live currently. But we were both born in this city. We were both raised in this city. This city has a lot of history, not only in itself, but in our lives. And so it's a very, very surreal and special feeling to be able to bring what we've worked so hard to create to somewhere that is so close to our hearts and close to our house. And it is a blank space. And so for the first, not the first time, but we are being challenged with really examining and creating our identity in terms of design, and we did not have that opportunity before. So it's been a dance of getting to use all the creativity and figure out what we want this space to look like, but also how do we, or do we even tie it into the space that we have in DTLA, and what that looks like in terms of getting to create the space part of it instead of just the menu and the standards. We're now actually talking about design and what we want things to look like. And that doesn't mean that there aren't limitations. I mean, still within a build out and space and county and all those things, you still have limitations. But it's completely, I would say, in my opinion, like a blank canvas. So that has been a very interesting journey because we're really having to look closely at our branding and our vision and what we always dreamt about in terms of what the bar would look like, or the wall color, or the well, just everything. And the list goes on. And so that's been exciting, but also a little nerve-wracking because every decision you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm committing to this is going to be part of our shop and our identity, and I didn't have to pick the color of the the countertops before. They were already there.
Yeah, so now that in the build out, imagine you've already got the layout figured out and your menu along with it. So you'll feel pretty comfortable about those things. So maybe a little bit of new stuff, a lot of legacy stuff from DTLA, and just kind of evolving this brand into what is maybe going to be the idea of coffee for LA, because a lot of brands, I know you might not think of yourself as this, or maybe you do, but I think anybody who opens a coffee shop in a city and serves the public eventually creates the expectation for coffee in that city. So, you go there and you say, well, coffee there is like this, because that's the experience they have. And what do you hope people walk away from this experience thinking? If this is their only Los Angeles coffee experience, for example, on a business trip or something else, what's the experience that you want to be known for, and maybe that you hope LA in general might become known for?
I think connectivity. I mean, creating that space where you can feel welcomed, allowed to express yourself, and be able to talk to your local bar. You can get that thing off your chest that you need to say, or be heard, or even connected to. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think, well, one thing, and not, I'm going to try to tie this in, but one thing that has really changed about what we thought our coffee shop would look like is we have been in the specialty industry. I mean, that's where we've been and that's what we wanted. And we sort of realized that we want to be specialty coffee for anybody, for everybody. I want everyone to know that you can order anything off of our menu and know that it was intentional. It's going to be served at the same quality. But if you typically frequent a big chain and this is your first experience at a specialty coffee shop, we probably still have something that you will find that you will enjoy. And we will navigate every part of the menu and what words mean and what different drinks are made of to help you find that. And I think also because of where we are in downtown, we do have a lot of repeat clients, but we also get a lot of people visiting on a vacation or on a business trip. And I think that when those people come in and realize that they connected with the barista or the person behind the bar on a level more than just, I made your coffee, here you go, have a great day. I think that is a lot of times, at least for me personally, sticks with me more than the drink that I had. And the drink is very important, don't get me wrong, but I don't think you can always find that you can connect with someone. And that's why Lontra's, vision is connecting through coffee. Yeah. And whether that means it's, we have events at the shop, community events, or we have coffee education classes, or we have, or it's just serving you a drip on your way into the office. If that's what the experience that you're having, we want to connect with everyone. And I think that when people come, that's what I want them to take away. I want them to remember oh wow, that coffee was so great, but I really connected with the people in the space and everything. And we try to do that with every person, and it's fun because you get to meet so many people. And I think one of my favorite things ever is we had a customer who was a regular coming in every day for a year, and then I think started working from home and came back after a very long time. I mean, this was between shops, and came back, and I'm like, oh, hey. And I'm like, John, right? And I'm like, you get a whole milk latte, extra hot. And he's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I have not seen you in 9 months. And I cannot believe that you remembered that. That's insane. And I'm like, what do you mean? I talked to you every day for 9 months. Of course I'm going to remember that. And I think those moments are so special because not only was he wow, I remembered. I'm like, you also impacted me so much that of course I wasn't going to forget you, because I had a connection with you just as much. And the connection goes both ways. And we also want to connect with people and share our love for coffee and what we do. And I think that is a big thing that I would love for people to take away from Lontra in both spaces.
Oh, man. Beautifully said. Yeah, just like otters.
Yes, exactly. We're always holding your hand.
That's right. Great. My last question for you here is, here listening might be some baristas who also have the same kind of vision, the same kind of dream. Talk to them. What's your advice to them about opening your own coffee shop from what you've learned? How would you encourage them?
I would say always serve kindness. I think you never know who you're serving, and opportunities are always hidden, and kindness is always that bridge that kind of connects us all. I would also say I'm a huge risk taker, and I definitely need someone like Patti in order to balance each other out. And if like people would take any advice, I would say it's not a one person thing. Like, don't be afraid to connect with other people that have other strengths as well, because it does take a village, you know, and I think that finding people with different strengths is what makes us shine, for one.
And I don't even think that means like you have to open a shop with another person. I think that just means like don't be afraid to rely on your connections and the people that you know, because one thing that I'm not good at is asking for help. And a big lesson that I've learned is that you can't do it all. I mean, even we can't do it all. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think my advice would be, well, it comes in two parts. The first is you have to fall in love with the idea of the responsibility as well. It can't just be, I want to open a shop and have my own space, because as I said previously, the weight of the responsibility is very heavy. So I believe that you also have to love the ownership side and the facilities side and the admin side and the business side of it. And I think if you can fall in love with that and not just fall in love with the idea of having your own space, you will be more successful. Because it's more, sometimes owning a coffee shop is a lot more than just about coffee. In fact, sometimes it's not about coffee at all, which I'm coming to realize. And if you can love that too, then you will be much more fulfilled, and it will be a lot easier to pull yourself away from the coffee part of it to do the other parts of it. And my other piece of advice would be, don't discredit how much your day-to-day experiences right now are preparing you for this and how important those are. Because I felt like when we got this opportunity, like I'm not ready. I don't know if I will be able to do this. And then you realize how much your experiences really set you up for this. You're there, you see the details, you see all the parts, all the moving parts, and that intel is gold. And don't sell yourself short because you feel like the dream is far away. We thought our dream was far, far, far away, and it happened in the blink of an eye. I mean, it happened so fast, and you never know when it might happen for you or who you're going to talk to and be in the right place and the right time. And so never, ever, ever stop dreaming and being passionate about that goal, because it can happen. You know, you don't have to have it all figured out right now, but stay curious and communicate with people and connect with people, and you never know, what's going to happen. Don't close the door because you feel like it's far away. It can happen at any moment.
Beautifully said. Love it. Yeah, that's such good advice. And I really appreciate you all sharing from the heart about your experiences in ownership and operation and coffee culture. I want everybody to be able to connect with you. So where can they go to do that online and when they're in LA?
Yes. So in LA, we are in Bunker Hill, right off Grand and 3rd. Our Instagram is at Lontra Coffee. It's Lontra. You can find us there. We update that pretty regularly. We should have more social avenues, hopefully in the coming months. But you can find us there, and hopefully very, very soon you can also visit us in Upland. But for now, we're there in DTLA. We are open Monday through Friday. It is a financial area, so we are pretty work hours, but Monday through Friday, 7 to 3, you will find us. You can always connect with us on Instagram. I love getting to talk to people about their experiences and what they liked, and I'm big on checking that. So reach out to us, come visit us. We're super excited to see what we're going to do with the rest of the year and what new fun things we're going to put out. And we are so excited for more classes and more events. So I hope everyone can come to something.
Excellent. Well, thank you both. I really appreciate you being on this show. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. We had a great time. It's such an honor.
Okay, everybody. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that conversation with Patti and Jesse, the otters. I love it. It's so cool. And just all the talk about connection and support and the community that they've built, and the idea that their customers are really just so well connected, I guess. You just use that word again. I mean, it's really true that as you work and serve, the law of reciprocity is there. You give and you give. And when you give in the way that they do, and when you build in the way that they do, what you get back is something that continually supports those efforts. And it makes the idea of growing not as scary of a thing, because you have the strength of your relationships, not only in the cafe, but between the employees, you as the owners, and the customers and the community. That's the kind of thing we need more of, and I'm grateful for their example. So thank you, Patti and Jesse, for being on the show. If you want more information, want to get plugged into all that they're doing, find out how to get there in the cafe. They gave the address in the episode, but go to their Instagram account. Best place to do this is at Lontra Coffee, Lontra Coffee, and you will not be disappointed. So now, if you have any questions for me, comments or otherwise, then go ahead and email chris@keystotheshop.com. You're looking for a community as a coffee shop owner, want to get plugged into that and join us in the key holder coaching groups, go to the link in the show notes. You can click there to apply, or you can just email me directly, chris@keystotheshop.com. And of course, I always am up to talk with all of my listeners and those of you who are looking to do coaching one-on-one with you and your management team, or larger projects involving resetting your training and onboarding, looking at workflow, layout, and bar design, and also just working to do assessments of cafes where we get to go there to your cafe. I am able to kind of deep dive into the operations of what's going on. As an outside observer with a lot of coffee experience, we uncover a lot of root causes of things that might be bottlenecks in the business, and allow you to focus on the beautiful things happening in your cafe that need more of your energy. It's very fruitful. So let's just have a conversation. It's where we start. So chris@keystotheshop.com. So that's it for me, everybody. I hope you're having a great day, whatever you're doing, wherever you are. You're making great coffee and you're making a difference. Thanks so much. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.